All right, so once you are done with your sky, the problem is I don't have any like sticky trees in the back to demo. So what I'm gonna do is kind of show you over the top of my little tester wash here. So when you're doing your trees, you're doing it because they're behind the house. So anything that's behind the house is what's going to be going on right now. So I'm grabbing, it's a really dark brown, it's not black. And I just have enough that's going to create the color, not so much that it's going to be really watery. And my brush is pretty tiny. So that I'm able to draw with it again. I'm not even pressing very hard with the brush. So let's pretend that this is your sky that you just painted. So what you can do with those trees is really lightly, you know, draw them in where you see them on your visual. And it's okay that they skip, and it's okay that they're not exact from what you're seeing on your visual, but they're really, really close. So you guys can see how these start looking like branches. You can also see that I have not gotten any more paint yet. I'm barely touching the paper. Now, I've seen people do this one of two ways. Like if these end up having leaves on them, you can put the leaves in first and then kind of skip around and put little tiny pieces of bark. Or you can start with this and then you can start with the leaves. So depending on the tree that you're painting, you're either going to leave it alone with just the tree branches, or you're going to start with a really light green and literally just kind of dab the greenery in. This is why I like kind of doing the tree branches after, because when I put the greenery in, I re-wet the branches and they kind of fade again. So I kind of just stick them in at the end, but you guys can see here I'm kind of just dabbing the, it's okay even if they come out from the tree a little bit and not have anything to connect to. That's okay as well, because that's what pretty far away. These are not detailed trees in the foreground. These are trees that are behind the house in the background. So you guys can see how I can do that. I even grabbed a bunch of water and added more wash to it. And I'm going to let that dry. And then once it's dry, I can come back with a darker, more saturated color, similar to how I did the branches, and add darker blotches of color here. Once it's dry, then you can come back with like some darker, so you always put the lights down first. Then you guys can come back with like a darker green and really saturate your brush. You can see how dark that is. And then I'm literally gonna come back in and add all those darks back into it. So that will kind of add in your other color. Even more saturated, brighter green would also layer on top. And then just kind of mimicking the texture and the values that you guys see in the trees themselves. So this kind of looks like more of a finished background tree, depending on what kind of tree it is. Now, here's where I would come back in then and add the fine branches if I see any. So this is where I can kind of grab and kind of add And I never draw the line all the same. I kind of skip through because some of those leaves are going to cover the branches. Some of them are going to pop through. So kind of even adding a little bit of line here and there kind of gives the effect that the leaves themselves are kind of coming in between the leaves in and out.